And they're always scripts. I don't care if you think you're using scripts or you're not. They're all scripts.
Listen to my tonality. Why is that important to you? By simply reframing the question with what is important about getting $250,000 for your home.
And you turn it down even more if you come in with, I'm just curious. Oh my gosh, your house is beautiful. I'm curious. What's next?
Such a better question. All right, happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to Survive to Thrive. Today we are going to work on negotiating skills. Grab some pen and paper, get ready to take some notes. And I'm going to move as fast as possible. For those of you who know me, know that's a challenge. But here we go. First thing I want you to do is write down calibrated questions. So ask calibrated questions. Calibrated questions are open-ended questions that the other side can respond to, but that have no fixed answers. Getting to yes, written in 1979, shares 4 basic tenets. Here they are. Tenet number 1 from getting to yes is separate the person from the emotion, from the problem. Separate the person from the emotion, separate the person from the problem. Number 2, don't get wrapped up in the other side's position, but instead focus on their interest.
Absolutely. I'm going to chime in. So focus on the interest, get out of their story. Don't get caught up in their story by walking alongside with them. It's their story that they're telling themselves about their event. So our biggest thing that we can do is take ourselves out from that and stay with what's actually ahead of you, the facts, and continue working with the facts that you have in front of you. Who, what, when, where, how. Right? Those are our open-ended questions that allows people to open up to us.
All right, you just took away half my presentation, Birgit. Thanks for that.
So sorry.
That's good stuff, man. All right, number 3, work cooperatively to find win-win options. Number 4, establish mutually agreed upon standards for evaluating those possible solutions. All right, people are neither fully rational nor completely selfish, and their tastes are anything but stable. All right, so let's talk about the framing effect. The framing effect demonstrates that people respond to the same choice depending on how it is framed. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples here. You're talking to a medical professional, and the medical professional is talking to you about a procedure. Option A is the treatment has a 90% survival rate. Option B, this treatment has a 10% mortality rate. And here's what this is telling you. Both statements describe the same outcome, but most people choose the treatment when it's framed as 90% survival and feel fear or avoidance when it's framed 10% mortality.
Yeah, we have to remember that survival instinct. So we don't want to aggravate that survival instinct that takes us, fight or flight or freeze. So we present it as a positive. People more react to it positively because they see forward movement.
100%. Great job.
Take a second there on the framing thing, because I did a whole class on framing. Just write that word down, framing, because that's everything. That's how you frame yourself, where you sit, how you sit, being in control. If you frame yourself as in control, so either you can get into their frame where you're just another person or whatever, or you can set your frame. And a lot of times that's actually by silence. Mm-hmm. So it's not about what you say, it's about how you present, right? Everything conveys. And so how you present is the frame. You want to bring them into your frame. Birgit said it earlier, right? You can get wrapped up in their thing, but write down framing and actually think about how that relates to your presentation. Who are you when you're sitting there?
Exactly. I love that so much because we're sensing creature. So if I come in with a certain energy, people will pick up on that 100 all the time. So if I come in frazzled in some way, I have that kind of energy, or sometimes it's just a silent energy, but people feel it. So we have to regulate ourselves first. So frame yourself by coming in calmly, come in a clothes that make you feel the best. And so you can be centered when you're sitting there at the table.
Great stuff, guys. Write it down, write it down, write it down. Guys, if you have a question, go ahead and throw your hand up. I promise we'll get to questions at the end, but write your own question down so you don't forget it, okay? The next thing that I want to talk to you about is prospect theory. So prospect theory explains why people take unwarranted risk in the face of uncertain losses. So here's a good example of prospect theory, real estate related. Imagine a homeowner who owes $450,000 on their mortgage, but the house is only worth $400,000. So they have two options. Option A is a certain loss. Sell now as a short sell and definitely lose $50,000 in equity. Or option B, and you guys are facing this right now. You're having these conversations right now. Option B is keep the home, hope the market goes back up, but risk further price decline, foreclosure, credit damage, legal fees, and total financial wipeout.
Yeah, so here I think what could be important is things, the biases people carry, such as sunk cost. Oh my gosh, we already are in this far, we'll make it, we can get ourselves out of it, whatever the case might be. But there are so many biases that people hold. So to know some of those is super helpful, so you know what you can work with as you're sitting there.
Yeah. So let's talk about loss aversion. And Michael Tralongo, loss aversion as a bold law is people are more motivated by avoiding pain than they are by going towards pleasure.
On that particular note, this is kind of a tough one because as the professional, what most likely will happen. And we've seen it happen, even though we've warned people this could happen and so on. And we watch it. And I've seen it, with myself, with some of my coaching clients, and they've got a person in this position, and that person ultimately stays in the position and winds up getting into foreclosure or having more trouble and more problems. The interesting thing is how you approach this really makes a difference. If you approach it as though, here's what I know, here's what's going to happen to you, all of a sudden it's la, 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 I can't hear you, I don't want to hear you. But if you approach it with the questions, what's plan B? What is your plan for this?
Yes.
Have you seen this before? Have you looked into what happens in these particular situations? Rather than you telling them, because they're kids in this moment. They don't want to hear what you're going to say. So if you help them to self-discover what happens, then it's their thought, their idea. It is not what you're trying to force upon them. And they're in a difficult position. So it's really, really walk very lightly here.
Very well said. Write it down, write it down, write it down. All right. So the next thing from the bestseller, Thinking Fast and Slow, man has two systems of thought. System number one, our animal mind is fast, instinctive, and emotional. System two is slow, deliberate, and logical. And system one is far more influential. In fact, it guides and steers our rational thoughts. System one is where most decisions are made. Think about, and I've shared this with you before, logic makes us think, emotion makes us act. It is in our emotional mind that makes the decisions that we're going to act upon. People want to be understood and accepted. Listening is the most effective concession we can make to get there. Go, Birgit.
Yes, the emotional mind always comes first, because when we are fighting a tiger, we don't have time to set up a debate and think about it. So we are designed for emotional mind to come in first. Actually, interesting factoid. It runs 3 seconds before everything else comes in. So it filters through there first to find out, okay, is there a threat? And if not, can we send it up here so we can actually think about it? So, that's what you see with the other side when you're sitting there with your clients too. So you always want to work on how can I dampen down that threat response? Fight or flight, that's what people see. So when you have those conversations, how can I best have that conversation and not evoke that response so they can stay here and think and stay collaborative with you about what the next steps they could be for them and the choices they want to make for them and their family.
Okay, so we're going to go, the last part of today's session is going to be practical that you're going to be able to take away and implement into your real estate business starting today. Negotiating skills. Calibrated open-ended questions take the aggression out of a confrontational statement or close-ended request that might otherwise anger your counterpart. Calibrated questions have the power to educate your counterpart on what the problem is rather than causing conflict by telling them what the problem is. Calibrated questions avoid verbs or words like can, is, are, do, or does. These are close-ended questions that can be answered with a simple yes or no. Instead, they start with a list of words people know as reporter questions. Who, what, This is what I was talking about earlier, Birgit. You just got to it
I see
faster than I
it.
did. Okay. Who, what, when, where, why, and how. Those words inspire your counterpart to think and then speak expansively. It's best to start with what, how, and sometimes why. So write those three words down. What, how, and sometimes why. What, how, why. I want you to focus on having conversations with people where you are asking questions and you know that the path to helping somebody make a new decision based on new information is by helping them self-discover the new information by asking great questions. And you ask great questions by focusing on what, how, and sometimes why, nothing else. Who, when, and where will often just get your counterpart to share a fact without thinking. However, why can backfire if it is perceived as accusatory. So an example, what did you do? Why did you do it? Accusatory translates to what caused you to do it, which takes away the emotion and makes the question less accusatory.
That was going to be my footnote on there. It's the under why that can come across as super judgmental sometimes. So we want to be careful with how we're using that word. I like to preface things with, I'm curious, how come, I'm curious, what, I'm curious, when, so something that gets me around a why. And I really try not to use the word why when I'm in any kind of conversation in negotiating or any kind of conversation, really.
Yeah. So just for those people who may be newer here, these are great questions. When I used to go on for sale by owner expired appointments, I would keep their information sheet and I would write www just to remind myself to ask these questions. This is a beautiful home. Why are you moving? Right? Instead of going, why are you moving? Like started off, this is a beautiful home. Why are you moving? Then we understand why they're moving. Oh, okay. And, what's important to you about, where are you going to move? What city? What's important? What kind of time frame are you going to be doing? And where are you moving? So these questions are great because they get that person to start a flow of conversation and it becomes less scripted, more conversational. More conversational, your scripts sound, and they're always scripts. I don't care if you think you're using scripts or you're not. They're all scripts.
Yeah.
And ultimately, the more conversational is, the more appointments you'll get, and then ultimately, the more listings you'll get. But those W's are super important.
Yep. Michael, you're absolutely right here. Tonality is so important. And it's, guys, it's why I've told you to be super careful about using why. If you're doing a needs analysis, for example, and somebody shares with you that one of their goals is they want to get $450,000 for their home, and you respond with, why is that important to you? Listen to my tonality. Why is that important to you? Now, you can take away the chance that you're going to sound accusatory by simply reframing the question with, what is important about getting $250,000 for your home? Such a better question.
And you turn it down even more if you come in with, I'm just curious. Oh my gosh, your house is beautiful. I'm curious. What's next? So something like that takes that even down further for them. So you want to be on the same team the second you meet with them. You're on the same team.
Gratitude and compliments. Think about how you open your text messages. Hey, I just wanted to thank you for our conversation. So gratitude opens up. They want to read more, yes. Right? Wow, you have an absolutely beautiful home. Why would you even think about selling this? Now they're going to be more comfortable. It's all about just getting defenses down. You walk into a place and the BS meter is in the green. And the moment that you say something that's out of step, it goes to the red and it becomes very hard to bring it back down in the green. And when it's red, the ears are closed. So, you keep it in the green by having really thoughtful conversations.
Which means you have to manage your own green versus red meter before you walk in. So you can you have to work through your own jitters and everything else that's going on. So you can actually come in there and be as green as you can possibly be. So people trust you, right? No, like trust. That's what we're trying to achieve.
Great stuff here. Okay, so we've already covered this, but I just want to give you the definition here or a little bit more information on why it can be so dangerous. Why can backfire if it is perceived as accusatory? Example, why did you do it? That's pretty simple. That's accusatory. Now, how can I change that question? I can reframe that question to what caused you to do it? Why did you do it? What caused you to do that? Two very different questions. One is accusatory, one is more curiosity. What caused you to do that? Or what caused you to do it?
I love that question because you can go to a for sale by owner and go, why did you choose 500,000 to list your home at? Now that person's on the defensive 100%.
That's right.
So I see that you listed at 500. Just curious, how did you come up with that number?
Yes.
It's a little bit different, isn't it?
100%. It's very different. Okay, I've got one more page of notes here. We're going to get through it super quick here, guys. Use calibrated questions early and often. There are a few that you will find that you will use in the beginning of nearly every negotiation. What is the biggest challenge you face? What about this is important to you? How can I help make this better for you? How would you like me to proceed? What is it that brought us into this situation? How can we solve this problem? What's the objective? What are we trying to accomplish? Every single one of those questions started with one of two words, what or how.
But it included something really important, us and we.
Exactly. I was just going to say it's the same thing. It's us and we, right? We're in a team. So, and it takes you out of that equation, meaning it's not your fault. People always like to say, oh, well, it's the real estate agent's fault. Well, no, we are on a team when we are creating this. And so we're going to try to solve it as a team.
All right. Raise your hands. I want to hear your questions. Let's go, Sean.
It's a lot to take in there. I don't know that I have a question right now, but I will say this. Every time we go through one of these exercises, I find myself saying, I do that. I do that. And then as we go through the exercise, I realize I'm doing it, but the tool isn't as sharp as it needs to be. And that's what these sessions do for me. Change just the verbiage just a little bit, and it changes the conversation. So it gets me thinking a lot there's no downtime, but it gets me thinking a lot when I'm just, like I was just walking the dogs, or when I'm not focused on the business, I'm thinking about how to get this business better. These questions, what should I say? When I go to a listing appointment, I'm like scripting before I go and I'm going to meet a buyer. What am I going to say when they say this, and all of those things. And I love this part of the class.
Awesome stuff. Great job, Sean. Let's go, Cheryl.
Hi, good morning. This has been great. I am curious if you can share any tools for working with folks that may just interpret what you say differently. So you may say the 90% survival, but what if they're thinking 10% death, So I found that sometimes it's not even always our delivery, it's just how things are being interpreted, and that happens so frequently. Any tools that you might suggest to help with that?
Birgit or Michael, you want to take this?
I can go. So one of the things you can either speak it back to them, say, oh, so what I'm hearing you say could be an idea. A secondary idea is what's having you think that you're only getting the 10%. I'm curious what's having you think here, So if we can't head it off, we want to just take the bull by the horn and say, okay, let me get deeper into your thinking because you are definitely fixed on the negativity on it. So let's go explore it, and see where we end up.
Okay, so just continue asking questions to kind of probe more.
Exactly. There's something underneath there that there's something that we haven't discovered yet. And right. So that's a great way of going a little bit deeper for them.
Okay.
What's plan B? I mean, the other thought is there's a 90% chance this is going to work and a 10% chance that it doesn't. And if we don't do anything, what's plan B?
Mm. Good one, okay. Michael. Good one, Michael. There you go, Cheryl. Let's go, Lindsay.
Hey guys, so transitioning from traditional sales into real estate, so a lot of what we're talking about is very applicable, but the thing that I'm not connecting with is we have a saying that you don't show up and throw up and you don't, get happy ears. So as soon as you think that your prospect is, you have a sale, you have to remember all prospects are liars, and usually the first objective or challenge is not the real objective. So my question is, if we're in a conversation, you're trying to build trust and rapport to educate in the market and be the expert so that they, lean into that. At what point is it, do you're like, aha, they got it? Like that, because I would imagine the question that they might give you is like, well, what do you think the market's doing? Or do you think it's going to sell? And to me, those feel like bait questions and the opportunity to overshare before you're supposed to. You're picking up what I'm throwing down. So I'm trying to just figure out at what level and what's the indicator like, yes, they're here. We're on the same page. Or am I overthinking this?
So you could take things like that and maybe explore them a little further, and ask, so they're throwing a bunch of stuff. Oh, how can you say my home is going to sell, or some of those kind of questions. Or what's more important? What's most important about that? So I can give you the most accurate information. I want to give you some information. I don't want to pepper you with tons of information. What's most important to you about that? For example, something like that, right? Narrow it down and really find out what's there.
Lindsay, I love, you made me laugh. Okay, you said, right? It's funny to say buyers are liars and sellers are yellers. However, be careful with that because you get so as John Dietz taught me is stay out of judgment and stay in curiosity, right? We just don't know what it is. And people have a natural wall of defense, especially when they're talking with salespeople. Just imagine how you feel when you get a sales call. Immediately, your BS meter is in the red. So just be careful because your brain does not have a sense of humor. And when you say that, it puts this sticker on those people. Let them be who they are until they show you who they are. And then you decide if you want to work with them or not.
No, that's good. Good feedback. Thank you.
Lindsay, so first of all, I love that you have your camera on today. Secondly, anytime somebody asks me, am I overthinking this? My answer is always going to be yes, you're overthinking this. So just keep asking more questions is the answer in order to get deep. Go scuba diving versus snorkeling. Let's go hot.
I want to say one more thing real quick. If we go in with buyers are liars and sellers are yellers, then it puts us in that same fight or flight. So we can't think. So the more you stay out of that for your own sake, the better you can actually be there for them and help them think through what they need to think through. You see, that's what I meant earlier by get us into the green and out of the red. I love it.
It's like you guys called out, like we're talking about reframing. It's like you reframe my brain to go into reframing the conversation. That's
exactly. Good talk. And that is so key.
Really good stuff, guys. All right. So I've got 9:30 and I have 3 hands up. I want to get to all 3 of you. Let's go, Hawk.
Good morning. I appreciate the conversation and just the reminder. Having used a lot of the stuff constantly over the last decade, and then now transitioning into real estate, it's really easy to feel like, oh, this is such a big thing for them, but it's really whether it's a $1 sale or it's a $100 million sale, it's all the same sale. It's the same process. Questions, and so I just appreciate the reminder and the we thing. That's so big. As soon as you get into the we pattern and you start having a we conversation, it's won. There's no one wants to have enough for them.
That's right. It's never the market has rejected your price. It's the market has rejected our price. Let's go, Nick.
So at the beginning of the call, you commented on the word yes and getting to a yes. And I think what Lindsay is struggling with, and I think this would piggyback off, is you really don't want the yes. Yes is like a social lubricant. I mean, to them, they'll just say that because they want to say, I hear you, or I might do that. To get to that next level, you got to get to that's right. And that just validates that their perspective was heard. And, that trust level goes up that level. And that's that level deeper that Lindsay, I think, is just missing.
That's 100% so spot on. It's so interesting that you said that too, because this information is coming from Never Split the Difference, right? Yes. Getting to Yes is the title of a book. the author of Never Split the Difference agrees with you 1,000%, Nick. Your goal is not to hear you're right. That's the worst thing you can hear. You want to hear that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, good stuff. Lance, you're up. Take us out, buddy.
Good morning, everyone. I just want to bounce back to that sellers are yellers and buyers are liars and sellers are yellers, because I've never liked that statement. And I know it's a cliche. So let's talk about mindset. I always look at it like buyers are definitely liars, that's for sure. But sellers are storytellers. They're not yellers. You will often hear from a seller, I need. They don't know what they need. Let them tell you their story, and you will listen to what you will hear is what they want. And it's your job to scuba dive deeper, and figure out what they actually need based on what they want. And then you will end up with that yes that you're looking for.
That was priceless. Thank you for being here, Lance. You just made the call better. Birgit, Michael Tralongo, thank you to the two of you for bringing so much value this morning. Guys, this will be on my YouTube channel. If you're not on my YouTube channel, please go visit it today. Subscribe. That's a wrap. See everybody tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Invite your friends. Let's grow the group. Make it a great day, everybody.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, guys.
If you need stronger systems and better structure, scan the QR code or send a message to start working with Coach John.